So first of all, a public service announcement. It's okay to not be okay right now because all of us are feeling that pressure of how are we going to manage. I know I put a quote up this morning on my Facebook page from Dr. Emily King, and she was talking about how, parenting, working, and teaching are where's my fingers? 3 different jobs. And it's kind of silly for us to think that we are going to excel while we are doing 3 different jobs these days. So I'm excited because we have a wonderful guest who is going to help us figure out how we can be less stressed during the day, more connected with our families, and still enjoying life when we have this whole new set of rules that we have to follow. So Brenda Jones, I was excited because I got to meet Brenda last fall at a retreat, and she was our volunteer Uber driver. And she was making lots of pickups at the airport and taking people to the retreat. And so I knew right away that she was a very friendly, outgoing, giving person. And then the more I heard about her story and how she used to be in the world of special education, especially working with autistic kids, and then became a homeschooling mom to 2 children, and just her background of being a trainer with neuro-linguistic programming, which is NLP, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But she just has some wonderful ways and I love how direct you are, Brenda. And just to kind of get to the point and figure out what we need to do next. So that was my long rambling introduction to Brenda Jones from California. So welcome, Brenda.
Thank you so much, Charmaine. And it's funny, I would give anything to be that volunteer driver right now to be able to travel and see people and drive. I can't think of the last time I was in my car. So it's because California, we've been stay at home. I think we're on like day right now. So it's been a while. Right. And yes, I saw that post that you did this morning, and I loved everything about it because I am all 3. I have my master's in early childhood special education. I was a teacher, although I only did 2 years in the district. I worked in the private sector as a program coordinator and behavioral specialist. And I am a mom, and I homeschool, and I run my company. And so it's hard enough doing those things by choice and watching everybody with just, hey, by the way, at the end of the day, your kids are staying home indefinitely, so add this to your list. Oh, hey, at the end of the day, by the way, you're now working remotely. Hope you have a setup for that. Oh, by the way, your kids also need a setup because, well, they've got a bajillion things to do. And I think the big for me has been really helping people understand that what you guys are going through, it's a lot. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to handle when things are a lot. And then B, it's not homeschooling. I saw somebody the other day and I posted an article. They called it crisis schooling. And that is so accurate, because as a master trainer of NLP, of neuro-linguistic programming, words matter, because creates a picture, sound, and feeling for you. And if you think that this chaos, this stress, this crazy schedule of having to be online in all these different Zoom rooms, if you think that this is homeschooling, it's doing a disservice to you, and it's doing a disservice to homeschooling, because homeschooling is this beautiful thing should you choose to go in it. And that doesn't mean that it's not hard, because it is. But I wanted to kind of give you guys just a few things. So I know, Charmaine, you said have stress. And let's see, we're going to change my camera angle because I've got stuff going on here. There we go. And so, y'all, this is what happens. I have basically made the corner of my couch my office. And so this is a thing. And I've got electronics everywhere. But the first thing you want to do with all of this, because you've had a lot thrown at you. And one of my favorite things to teach is simply HALT. Never make big decisions. hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And we add extra things. My other thing is never make big decisions when you're in big emotions on either end of the spectrum. Because if you're feeling super, super awesome, you may think that everything's super, super great, and you might miss looking at something. Or if you're just really, really stressed and overwhelmed or all of those things, it changes. Remember when we were little and you knew never ask mom for something when she was in a bad mood? That's because it's a thing. There are a bunch of different filters. All of this information, this data is coming into you and bombarding you every single second. And you can only consciously process so much of it. So everything travels through these filters, your mood being one of them. So when all of this stuff has been handed to you, and I've been watching, every district has responded differently, even just in general education. So I can only imagine what it's like when you've got a child who is typically used to going for their services. A lot of kids that are, especially on the spectrum and then other special needs, they thrive on their routine. And we not only shook up the routine, we upended it and then shook it up and then upended it a few more times. You feel like those bingo carousels where you throw all the balls in. I feel like we just kind of got thrown in, and we're going to see what today looks like when everything comes out on the other side. And so the first thing that you want to do is stop, and take a few deep breaths. Because what we know is that the pictures, sounds, and feelings in your head mix in with the physiology of your body and your mood. And all of those three things mixed together, those create the behaviors which give you your results. So if your mood is all over,
I'm sorry, say those three things again, and I'm going to put those up.
So the three things, it's the picture, sounds, and feelings in your head. The jargony word is internal representation, but it's just the pictures, the movies in your head. Like if I were to say the word cookie, Charmaine, you probably have a different picture in your head. What picture did you have?
Chocolate chip.
See, I had Thin Mints because we just got out of cookie season, right? So when I say the word cookie, everyone's going to have a different picture. Everyone's going to have a different feeling from that, right? So whatever that thing is, it's going to mix in with the physiology of your body. If you're slumped down, you start to depress your body. If you sit up, you raise your breathing, you roll your shoulders back, you smile, your mood starts to change. And so that all intermixes with your state, your emotional state or your mood. So the pictures and movies in your head, your mood, and your physiology. Those three things all mix together to create behavior. And those pictures, sounds, and feelings are all of that data coming in, being filtered down to the version of a reality you're going to see in a given moment. And that's why it's so important that when all of this stuff has been coming at us, and we're still getting, it's a day by day thing right now, right? I have not had any one day stay the same into the next with the amount that we are allowed to travel or not to travel, with the numbers that are coming out, with schedule changes, like everything's changing every single day right now. And the big thing is to just stop. If it's all getting to be too much, just pause, take a few deep breaths, and then really decide how you can get back in control of your emotions, which we're going to talk about, so that you can make decisions from a clearer spot. Because so many of my friends got, hey, by the way, you're home from work, your kids are now home, and here are the 18 logins that you're going to have to figure out by Monday. Good luck. And my friends were calling me, going, oh my God, you already homeschool. How do you? And I'm like, that's not homeschool. That's school at home. That's not homeschool. And as a homeschool, what I'm going to tell you is to, you know what? Just reconnect with your kids, unschool for a little bit. Guess what? They're absent for a couple of days. The world will continue to move. It's okay. Because right now it's about just maintaining and bringing that stress level down in the home, because this is already stressful. Okay. Adding all the extra stress and then expecting our kids or ourselves to perform from a state of stress, it changes our reality. So whatever is stressing you out, if you can, just stop. Even if it's for 5 minutes, just stop. The second thing is then really, what can you control? Are you going to be impulsively reacting by being triggered into action, or are you actually going to be able to take intentional response? And it comes down to, there are really only a few things that you can control. We cannot control the shutdowns that are going around. We cannot control the dates that are being thrown at us. We cannot control all of those things that are outside of us. What we can control is us. We can control our emotions. We can control our actions. And then because of that, we can control the response we give. Because however it is we respond to a situation then sets off a chain of responses or reactions from the other people around us. Hi, I love you. And thanks. And this is normal. I normally have my kids home, so you think they would know better, but this has still shaken up our routine, right? So we're still getting used to a routine. I was very overwhelmed. I'm already a homeschooler, but we lost dance. We dance 5 days a week, 5 to 7 hours a day. That was a huge shift. And now it's Zoom classes all over the place. And we lost theater. Like, it was crazy. And so I can only imagine, like, all of a sudden having to figure out how to educate your children on top of that. I at least mostly had that under control-ish. But are we coming from a place of being really intentional in how we respond to everything that's going on? Or are we being triggered into reacting and then setting off a list of things that happen after that? Are we dropping the ball and setting off a chain reaction and all of a sudden turning around and looking back going, yeah, I didn't mean for that to happen. And that's when we go back to HALT. Being able to control your energy, your emotions, helps you control your reality, which then, like I said in the last bit, controls the behavior just by maintaining your emotions. But then it comes down to, how do we really stay on top of our emotions? There's a bunch of different techniques. Breathing being the simplest one for me to give you is just to stop, take a few deep breaths, do some jumping jacks, change the physiology of your body. If you can get outside in the backyard or the front yard and there's sun, go stand in the sun. Have some meditation tracks. Turn on your favorite dance music, right? Dance around your kitchen with your kids. Are things, if you start feeling like things are coming up, okay, dance break, let's go. And this is something we used to do in class. Like, I would do, I'm the crazy person, but as a behavior specialist, we were taught, sometimes you have to out-behavior the kids. So if they're throwing a tantrum, throw a bigger tantrum. And they stop and go, the heck is wrong with you? But it's anything that we call it a break state. Do we remember vinyl records? Do you remember what would happen if you got a scratch in a record or even a D or a CD, right? The track skips. We can do that by simply doing something that changes their attention. So if things are starting to be out of control, as the adult in the room, you can decide to respond intentionally that when things are getting chaotic, when we're starting to feel those emotions rise, you know what? Dance break. Oh, you know what? We're going to go outside. We're going to go play ball for a little bit. Let's jump rope, jumping jacks, yoga, something. Just something to switch the track for a little bit. And then you can come right back.
I mean, that is such a good idea because, it doesn't take any pre-planning. It doesn't take any, written instructions or visuals, helps or accommodations. It's just, let's stop. Let's do this. Let's do a dance break. I love that idea. And just the quickness of it too, to really shift that mood maybe of your kids, and
yourself. Because here's the thing, we're energetic beings. And so they are feeding off your stress. And that's why it's so important to be able to control what you can control, which is you, and be able to control your response, because it's so easy right now because our kids are picking up on our stress. They have their own stresses. And so they're behaving according to their stress. And then we're reacting to that. We're being triggered by their behavior instead of being able to come back and go, okay, wait, I'm feeling stress, so I'm not really necessarily acting the way I want. They're feeling stress, so they're not necessarily acting in a controlled way that they want. What I can control is my response to their actions. And that might be to walk away. That might be to say, call a dance break. For all of my moms out there that need to be more scheduled, this is a great time to, if you are creating your own picture communication, create some pictures that your kids can now bring to you. Make sure that your kids, especially if they're nonverbal, if they're struggling, make sure that they have signs or pictures. Or, we're even doing this in our dance class, hey, I need you to slow down. because they're all on mute on Zoom. So if kids are struggling in dance, it's, I need you to slow down. I need you to take it from the top, right? Have some kind of way that your kids can communicate, because they are feeling all of these things, not only for themselves, but they're feeling yours too, which is why it's so important to control you as much as you can, because simply by controlling yourself, you are the rapport leader. And I wasn't going to go here, but I'm being told to. You are the rapport leader, which means those people around you, your AK, those little things, or maybe the not so littles, they follow your lead. So if you're seeing that they're starting to spin out of control, check you, bring you down into a nice and calm meditative state, and they will come around with you. This is a big thing when I'm teaching NLP, when I'm teaching hypnosis, it's about go there first. Because when you have the rapport, I lead, they follow. When you have the rapport, you lead, they follow. I can bring people into deep states of hypnosis by just simply sitting next to them and allowing myself to go there, myself to calm down, and then simply just saying the words, that's right, or yes, every time I see a little bit of them starting to relax. Which brings me to catch them being good. More than ever, catch them being good right now. And catch yourself being good, reward yourself when you have kept it together in a time where you could have easily spun the other direction. Because there's a lot. There's a lot going out. Reward yourself for the little things. Hey, you did the dishes today? Party.
Or
for some people.
Or put your clothes on instead of staying in pajamas.
Right? So many people are not showering and getting dressed. Oh my gosh. Take a shower. Guess what? You get a break. You get that proprioceptive and that vestibular input simultaneously into your body. I am that weird one that I will take my phone, because it's an iPhone, it's waterproof, and I'll put it on a shelf in my shower with like meditation music. And I will just zen out for a little bit, because I need to take a shower anyway, or I should be taking a shower. You guys shower. Here's a hint. If you can smell yourself, other people smelled yourself before you did. It's a thing. So, and then it comes down to the other thing that you can control, and this ties back into that first thing, is the language that you're using. The words you use create those thoughts and those pictures that we talked about in the beginning. So what words are you using? Because some people are saying, oh, I'm stuck at home. Right. How does that feel when you say the word I'm stuck? What are those emotions? Right? Versus if you say, I get to stay home right now. Even though, yes, we are told to stay home right now, but I get to stay home right now. Or I choose to listen to the orders that are being given out and follow the rules and stay home right now, right? All of that shifts from even just being stuck. Or think about when you have something that's a problem, and think about how it looks, how it sounds, how it feels. Think about a problem that you're having. It's just a minor problem. Think about that problem right now. What does that look like? What does that sound like? Right? What does that feel like? And then you guys remember those Etch-a-Sketches where you draw the picture and then you shake it and the whole thing vanishes? Like Etch-a-Sketch picture. Now think of that same thing, that same situation, but call it a challenge. Think about that situation as a challenge and notice how it begins to shift, how it looks a little bit different now, how it sounds a little different, how it feels a little bit different. When I do this in class, typically people will say, I feel like there's more movement now. I feel like I have choice now. Right? Now Etch-a-Sketch that again. And think of that same situation, but call it an opportunity this time. When you look at that situation as an opportunity, how much more has that shifted? How it looks, how it sounds, and how it feels. What possibility opens up when you see that situation as an opportunity? And that's the big thing here. One of my favorite things, people always say, you can always find the silver lining in everything. And it's not because I'm like this uber positive rainbow thinker. It's because I've been doing this for 8 years. I've trained my mind to move problem, challenge, opportunity as quickly as it can, because I know that 2 million pieces of data are coming in. I can only be consciously aware of 126 out of 2 million. So I get to choose which 126 I look at based on changing my mood, changing the words, changing my perspective. all of these different filters that I can change the reality of it. It's like if I were to take you into a beautiful museum, hang this giant mural on the wall, turn off the lights completely and hand you a pen light and say, great, tell me what you see. And odds are you're going to I see a blob of blue. Great. Move that pen light somewhere else. Oh, now I see white. Because we only have a pen light of reality in any given moment, which is why you want to be able to halt, like I said, change that mood, change your physiology, because that automatically changes the filters and the reality that you're seeing. Because when you can control your mood, that child's breakdown, and I did this morning. I was in the middle of yoga. I finally took some time. My friend was teaching an online yoga class. I was finally taking time for myself to catch one of her classes live and not recorded because it worked in my crazy schedule. And she was taking an outschool math class, and she comes out in hysterical tears. And it's a matter of, okay, control me, what's going on? And just coming back to, I could lose my ish right now because you just interrupted my class. This was like the one thing that I scheduled for me today so that I could set for my day. Why are you interrupting? And I could have lost it. Why are you having a huge breakdown? Instead of, okay, where was the problem? Okay, what in your math brain decided to struggle this morning? And then I threw her, I'm like, guess what you're doing? Yoga, child's pose with me right now. Get into child's pose and turn your math brain back on, because clearly it is disconnected. Because I literally asked her, she's 12. I asked her 2 + 2 and she goes, I'm like, great, 1 + 1. Okay, clearly your math brain is not connected. It was no longer 120 in that 126 pieces that she could access. So it was like, okay, yoga, meditate now. And that changed her physiology. It cleared everything that was going on. It got her out of that spin. And then it was, let's start back up with what's 1 + 1? It's 2. Oh, okay, that was easy. Great. 2 + 2. And just slowly working her back in. And then I went and I grabbed a whiteboard, taught her the math, and it was simple. But it all comes down to controlling the emotions. And then it came down to, she was already an emotional wreck. I could have met her at that, and then we could have just spiraled out of control this morning. Or she's an emotional wreck. I can control me and walk her to my side. And so those are, I mean, really the big things to do is, and it comes down to choosing your words, choosing your response, which in that, moving from have to or need to I choose to. Because yes, we all have stay-at-home orders. Yes, we are told that we are going to be homeschooling our kids. And if we keep coming from, I have to do this, I need to do this, from, you know what? I get to do this. I get to try this thing right now. And I get to help remind my child what it is to love to learn. And that's the big piece to remember right now. Go back to a love of learning. A lot of school takes that out of them. Sit and read. If you don't have the time to sit and read, there are amazing authors who are going live or recorded all over the place reading books. Betty White read Harry the Dirty Dog, I think it is.
Yes.
Josh Gad is reading a story every night with all the voices that Josh Gad Olaf can do. There's all of these amazing things out there. Just get back to a love of learning. You can get to structured learning piece by piece. Add in one little bit, make that your new normal. When that works, add in another piece. And then as far as this social distancing, because this is a piece that's really been bothering me, we are not socially distanced. Because I'm hearing a lot of people starting to say, I feel isolated, I feel disconnected, I feel lonely. And then they're making reactions out of that lonely and isolated. We are not socially distanced. We are physically distanced. We are practicing physical distancing right now, which is so much different than social distancing. I think we are now socially connecting more than ever. It's in a different way, but we're actually getting to connect. So make sure that you are connecting face to face on cameras, because that's a big piece right now. Is a lot of people, oh, I'm texting. It's not the same. Get on camera.
Oh, that's a great shift. And I noticed, I can't remember if it was national or local news, but somebody made that distinction the other day between physical distancing and social. And like you said, the power of words and the picture that paints for us every time we repeat that phrase or we read that phrase. So yeah, that could be a simple mission that we have, is when we start making posts on Facebook or whatever, to remember the choice of words that we're using, right?
Yeah. And that's so important because people are making those pictures, sounds, and feelings in their head every time we say a word. If you think about what does it feel like, what does it look like to say socially distanced? That looks like isolated. That looks like lonely. But if you were to say socially connected and physically distanced,
Huh.
well, we're socially connected and physically distant from a lot of people all the time. We have family and loved ones and friends that live, all over the state, all over the country, all over the world, and we're physically distanced from them all the time, yet we don't feel connected. And so that's been a big piece, because as this continues, maintaining your mindset and maintaining your connection is what's going to make this easier, because this is not ending anytime soon, unfortunately.
And I love seeing some of the ideas that some schools have had been doing. Is I've seen these teacher parades through neighborhoods that teachers are driving in their cars and honking, and they have their cars decorated. And so families are coming out and they're waving and they're seeing familiar faces. So it is so, just heartwarming to see the creative ideas that people are coming up with to stay connected during this time when we're not able to go back into school or other places,
One of my daughter's friends, they just posted this yesterday. They took that same idea. A friend of hers from her old dance studio had her 12th birthday yesterday. So a bunch of her friends, they all did a parade of cars, decorated their cars, had balloons hanging out windows, and paraded. And her friend was just in hysterics, sobbing. And I'm sobbing watching this on Facebook. But just had a parade, and then they all pulled up and they all parked far enough away from each other and literally blocked the entire street and just cheered for her. Because there's a lot of birthdays and weddings and everything going on during this time. And so it's one of those, a friend of mine went crazy viral on TikTok because she took her kids to one of the nursing homes, and they put painter's tape on the window, and she got window chalk markers, and they played tic-tac-toe with the residents of the nursing home. And she is at hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of views since yesterday. And, so it's just, we're finding different ways to connect with people, because let's be honest, we're so busy in our everyday that, the part of me that believes that everything happens for a reason, that it's always for our best interest, and that universe, goddess, whatever it is, that thing that's bigger than you that you believe in, it knows, and it did this for a reason. And there was something that we were supposed to learn. There's always, whenever something is a difficulty, it's because there's a lesson to be learned for you or for for everybody. And right now we are collectively having a lesson to learn, which is why this kind of came down as a blanket across the world, is apparently we were not listening. And so the world had to get a little bit louder. It's kind of like a tantruming 2-year-old. Your body talks to you, and universe talks to you, God talks to you. And if you don't listen, it gets louder and louder and louder. It goes, mom, 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 right? So none of us were listening. So it got really, really loud. And so hopefully if we can just, sit down and listen, maybe we'll get to go play again.
I know. And I want to make sure people know, I think people are like me, they're entranced with what you're saying. But please feel free to post any comments, what you would like to add to the conversation. If you're watching live or on the replay, because I'll circle back and read your comments and respond. But I know we have a variety of people here. Karen's here, and I saw Heather earlier from Florida. And I know we have a variety of people. So you guys joined us. Just, make sure that you know that you can type in your comments and questions, because I think, this show is much different than what we usually do, which I think is good, because what we usually do isn't what we need to be doing right now. And I just want to remind parents that it is more than okay to feel whatever you're feeling right now. And I think this will be one of the shows that you want to go back and re-listen to. I take the audio out and make a podcast, so I'll make sure everybody has the link for the podcast, because I listen to a lot of podcasts when I shower, but maybe I could be doing meditation instead. But
I do it all.
You know, yeah, I know. It's like, listen, I like, we have, and I like her shows because she speaks loud enough that I can hear it in the shower. So you have to kind of figure out which people are best for shower viewing or watching or listening. But
I signed up for Molly Mahoney's program listening to one of her classes in the shower.
Well,
I got an alert on my phone as I was getting into the shower, and I was like, I've got a half an hour to kill. I'll go listen to Molly. And yeah, joined her program right then and there.
I know. So it's, I think when this all initially happened, I think for so many parents, it was like, and we rushed right into, learning activities, websites we can share and bombard, and I was, guilty of this too, bombarding people with like, do this, watch this, do this, try this is great. And like, instead of allowing our families, and myself included, to just kind of spend some time like connecting, and I say that and it sounds kind of, I don't know, like a cliche, but it's like time to just be with whoever is in your household at the time, and just breathe and sit together and talk and have more conversations. And, just that mellow time it seems like what the world needs,
I think that's a big part of why that's kind of how we ended up here, is the world needed to slow down. The world needed to stop for a second and reconnect into what's really important. What's funny is typically you go out and everybody is out and on their phones. You tell everybody stay home on your phones and everybody's out riding bikes, myself included, because we weren't a dance. So it was like, well, we need to go do something. And if I don't get outside these walls, mama gonna lose it. And we had rain on top of it. So it was like, okay, not only am I home, it's been raining. So we've been in my home. And so the first time it was sunny, I was like, can we go outside? This was me. Can we go outside? Asking my kids, can we go outside? Can we go play? You guys want to go play? Let's go play. Fine, you stay home. Mommy's going to go play. And it's because it's a big change. And I was only able to do this. This is me being, this is me wanting to be a homeschooling mom. This is me having a master's in education and special ed. This is me being homeschooling. This is my 7th year, but it took 2 years. I was that kid in school that would get all the work done for the reward of getting more work. Because that was the reward. Okay, you finished your work. You can do the next grade level's work. And I was that weirdo that would go do that. And so when I started homeschooling in kindergarten, my older daughter, we were in a district program. There was a local district that we transferred her to because they had a homeschool program within the district. So they would hand me the district curriculum that all the teachers were following, and they would hand me all the district books, and I would come home and I would do everything and I would turn it in, and she'd go, stop. What do you mean stop? Stop doing everything. But you gave me the curriculum. Isn't this, you gave me curriculum. I'm supposed to do the curriculum. She goes, there is not a single teacher in this district that is doing everything on this curriculum every single day. Period. So stop. You are only able to do it because you have one child. They have classrooms. They intend to get to this curriculum. They don't. And she finally had to threaten to take the curriculum away from me because it took me a while to unschool myself. And so I'm looking at districts going, well, these are all the things that we do during the day. And I'm like, you do not. Stop it.
Right.
You plan to do all of that during a day. And you don't, because you have a ton of kids. And then now, because parents are one-on-one, guess what?